They chainsawed my only way home in the dead of night just to force me out, until I locked the one bridge they all needed, and watched their HOA empire collapse in a single, mascara-streaked morning. The crisp October air sliced through the open window of my old Jeep as I wound up the final switchback toward Willow Creek Estates. Denver's chaos felt like a distant memory after 3 hours of narrow mountain roads that clung to the edges of sheer drops. The pines thickened, their needles whispering secrets in the wind, and the scent of sap and earth filled my lungs like a balm for my burned-out soul. I'd quit my tech job 2 weeks earlier. Soul-crushing doesn't begin to describe 80-hour weeks debugging code for apps that spied on users while pretending to connect them. Grandpa's cabin was my escape. A 70-year-old timber haven perched on the edge of a crystal-clear lake, inherited after his hunting accident 5 years ago. The iron key on my keychain felt heavier than usual, loaded with childhood memories of fishing trips, campfire stories, and life lessons he'd drilled into me. Always keep your word, kiddo, and never let bullies win. The enclave was isolated perfection, 12 remote cabins scattered along the lake shore, connected by a single, ancient wooden bridge spanning a 60-foot ravine. It was a beast of a structure, creaking under weight, but solid as the Rockies themselves. No other route existed. The alternative was a 2-hour detour on unmarkety uncharted fire roads that even GPS abandoned. As I approached the bridge, a red-tailed hawk circled overhead, its cry echoing like a warning. I shrugged it off, too eager for solitude. Pulling up to the cabin, I unloaded groceries in a duffel bag, the gravel crunching under my boots. The place needed work, peeling paint, a leaky roof, but it was mine. I fired up the wood stove, brewed coffee, and stepped onto the porch to soak it in. That's when she appeared. Carol Vance materialized like a spectre from the tree line, striding up the path in a pristine white suit that screamed city money, her platinum blonde hair immaculate despite the dirt road. 3-inch heels clacked against the wooden planks like a metronome of impending doom. She was tall, mid-50s, with calculating blue eyes and a smile plastered on like cheap veneer. "Welcome to Willow Creek," she chirped, voice sharp as pine needles. She clutched a thick folder, her perfume overwhelming the fresh air. "I'm Carol Vance, president of the Ridgeview Homeowners Association. I wanted to personally greet you, Ryan Morrison." How did she know my name? Such a responsibility for a young man, inheriting your grandfather's property. Her eyes darted over the cabin, assessing not sentiment, but square footage and resale potential. "It's charming, of course, but maintaining a mountain property, the isolation, the upkeep, it can be burdensome." She leaned in, scrolling through her phone to show photos of vacant cabins. "I know a discreet cash buyer. They'd offer $75,000, generous given the challenges." I nearly spat my coffee. The cabin was worth at least $600,000, lakefront and all. Grandpa had appraisals. "Appreciate the thought, Carol," I said, keeping my voice even. "But I'm not selling. This stays in the family." The smile vanished. Rage flickered in her eyes, cold and reptilian. "Family sentiment," she sneered, as if it were a curse. "Sentiment doesn't pay HOA fees or fix roofs. Speaking of which, there's a new bridge maintenance assessment. $5,000 due immediately. We're strict on deadlines." She thrust a notice at me and turned on her heel, clacking away. I stood there, stunned. $5,000 a month? For a bridge we'd all used freely for decades? This wasn't welcome. It was extortion. That night, I dug into Grandpa's old files in the attic. Meticulous records of payments, repairs, everything. No mention of massive assessments. Sleep came uneasy, dreams haunted by her sneer. Dawn broke with a nightmare made real. I woke to chainsaw echoes fading into the mist. Rushing outside, I sprinted to the bridge. A section of the antique timber railing was gone, sawed clean through, leaving a gaping hole over the ravine. Yellow caution tape fluttered, and a sign screamed, "Bridge unsafe, no crossing by HOA order." My blood boiled. This was vandalism targeted at me. But why? To force a sale? I checked the security camera Grandpa had installed years ago, a grainy but functional relic. Rewinding the footage, my stomach dropped. There was Troy Vance, Carol's smug trust fund son in his 20s, wielding the chainsaw under cover of night. Lurking in the shadows? Sheriff Dean, badge glinting, standing watch. The sheriff, sworn to protect, aiding destruction. My phone buzzed, an email from the HOA. Urgent safety violation notice. Bridge closed until repairs. Non-compliance fines, $1,000 day. This was war. Carol's declaration. But as I stared at the mangled bridge, Grandpa's voice echoed from memory. The bridge is more valuable than the cabin, Ryan. Remember that. And another whisper. Always keep the safe lock tight. Some secrets are worth more than gold. Heart pounding, I raced back to the cabin. In the floorboard under the rug was the old safe. Combination burned into my brain from childhood games. It clicked open. Inside, medals from his war days, faded photos, and a manila folder marked Deed 1962 in red ink. Hands trembling, I opened it. The deed was authentic, notarized seals intact. In 1961, during a spring flood, Grandpa Daniel Morrison had dove into raging waters to save the HOA president's 8-year-old daughter. In gratitude, the board deeded him the bridge outright. Private property, free and clear. Accompanying docs confirmed it. I owned the bridge. Not the HOA, me. The implications crashed like an avalanche. Carol had vandalized my property. She'd been collecting maintenance fees for something she didn't own. Fraud, potentially for years. And the bridge was the only access for all 12 cabins, including her own lavish showpiece. I spent the day researching online. Colorado property law, easements, private bridge rights. Clear as mountain spring water, owners could control access, even charge tolls. Grandpa's survey maps showed property lines extending 15 feet on either side, encompassing approach roads. By evening, a plan formed. Elegant, ruthless. Carol had shown her weapon, control access. I'd use it against her. That night, I made calls to Denver contractors, neutral, no local ties. Withdrew cash in increments to avoid flags. The crew would arrive at 4 a.m., gates, locks, cameras. Her empire's Achilles heel was about to be severed. Her stars blanketed the sky. I whispered to the darkness. You messed with the wrong guy. Carol! The rumble of trucks came early, headlights piercing the pre-dawn gloom. The crew worked like shadows. Industrial steel gates at both ends, black, powder-coated, unyielding. Electronic locks, HD cameras, floodlights. Signs. Private property, no trespassing. Owner, Ryan Morrison, toll for HOA board, $5,000 crossing, cash only, residents free wall pin. By dawn's first light, it was done. I texted pins to all residents except the 5 board members, attaching deed scans and a brief explanation. Bridge is private since 1962, fraud exposed. Cross free, Sem first school bus. Driver Carl grinned, punched the code. About time, he muttered. By 6:30, a line of commuters. I handed out deed copies, explained calmly. Reactions, shock, then glee. She's been bleeding us dry. 7:15 a.m. Carol's white Range Rover screamed in, horn blaring. She leaped out in disarray, hair wild, pajamas under a fur coat. Open this now, she shrieked. False imprisonment. Good morning, Mrs. Vance, I said via intercom. $5,000 cash. Or take the scenic route. She rattled the gate, nails scraping steel. This is America. I know my rights. This is my bridge, I replied, sliding the deed through. Since 1962, you've committed fraud. Her face crumpled, rage to panic. The breakdown was coming. Carol's meltdown escalated like a storm front rolling over the peaks. For 2 hours she paced, phoned lawyers who ghosted her, threatened lawsuits. Residents gathered, phones recording. At 9:30 a.m., she collapsed on the asphalt, fists pounding, mascara rivers staining her $4,000 suit. I'm ruined. This can't be. Troy's voice crackled on speaker. You told me to sabotage, Mom. I'm stuck too. Deputy Travis Martinez arrived at 9:45. Carol clutched him. Arrest him! He reviewed docs. Legal, Mrs. Vance. Fraud on your end. Then the HOA secretary called. 75 signatures for your removal! Carol fainted. Paramedics loaded her as she mumbled. Burn it all! Alerts pinged. Motion at my cabin. Troy approaching with gasoline. But Sheriff Dean shadowed him, gun drawn. Idiot, you looked at the camera. I triggered sprinklers, soaking them. Troy slipped in mud. Martinez and officers emerged. Drop it, Sheriff! Arrest for arson conspiracy. Interrogation spilled everything. Troy sang, systematic scheme with Carol and Dean to force sales for a luxury resort, and Dean ensured cover. But the gut punch, Grandpa's accident. He'd confronted Carol, offered to testify against Dean. She told Dean. A stray bullet from Dean's marksman cousin, rage boiled. But justice stirred. Next morning, process server, Carol suing for $2 million. Psychological trauma. Bob Henderson, retired lawyer neighbor, knocked pro bono. She's targeted others, me included. Whisper campaign destroyed my marriage. Cabin burned accidentally. We compiled evidence. Miller, Carol's ex-lawyer, delivered USB, footage of her ordering arsons, emails on profits, recordings of resort plans. I went public, 24/7 livestream. HOA Tyrant versus bridge owner. 50,000 viewers in hours, stories flooding chat. Emergency HOA meeting. 45-50 voted Carol out. She ranted, bigger forces. I'm just following orders. Footage showed her texting. Handle Morrison or I release everything. D midnight. Troy and Dean at my cabin with gas. Sprinklers again. Arrests. Troy confessed Grandpa's murder. Treasurer Margaret brought looting proof. $800K stolen. Carol broke. Dean blackmailed me with old embezzlement. Led away, she warned. You've painted a target, Morrison. Dean's connections run deep. Martinez, FBI now. 1 year later, I was temporary HOA president. Books transparent. Peace reigned, bridge reinforced, but threats came, anonymous emails. Slashed tires. Tinted cars. Miller brought recording. Distorted voice to Carol. Handle grandson or join the old man. Community meeting. Dean burst in with deputies, gun on me. Eminent domain. Phones streamed. FBI tactical team. Undercover op. Your grandpa started this. Takedown swift. Martinez. Ryan cracked it open. Bridge renamed Morrison Memorial. Plaque. Stood against corruption. Troy, post-parole. Hired as maintenance. Earned respect slowly. Carol, paroled broke. Faced toll booth. $5,000 for felons. Drove away. Her videos, confessions, donations to victims, email from Texas, HOA racism. I responded, building bridges, word count, 2,534, part 3. The shadows lengthen and the truth emerges, 2,578 words. Rewind to the spark. My arrival at Willow Creek was meant as rebirth. Escaping Denver's grind, I craved the cabin's solitude. Grandpa's key unlocked more than doors. It unlocked legacy. Carol's welcome was a velvet-gloved threat. Her lowball offer insulted intelligence. The assessment? A shakedown. The Sword Bridge was escalation. Camera footage implicated Troy and Sheriff Dean. Corruption's face. The safe's deed was bombshell. Ownership since 1961 heroics. Fraud exposed. Research armed me. Gates installed in secrecy. Dawn's chaos. Residents empowered. Carol unhinged. Her collapse visceral. Dictator to beggar. Arrests unfolded dramatically. Confessions layered. Resort scheme. Forced sales. Arsons. Whispers destroying lives like Bob's. Grandpa's murder revelation shattered. His confrontation sparked his death. Lawsuit laughed off. Counter-evidence mountain high. Livestream virality. Amplified voices. Meeting ouster. Carol's bigger forces hint. Arson attempt foiled. Dean's betrayal. Interrogations. Blackmail chains. Warnings post-victory. The network deeper. Recording. Puppet masters. Standoff. Dean's desperate play. FBI salvation. Undercover twist. Grandpa's FBI tip years ago. Resolution symbols. Renamed bridge. Troy's redemption arc. Carol's fall and rise via confessions. New battles beckon, but let's deepen the origins. Grandpa Daniel was no ordinary man. Korean war vet, bridge builder by trade. Saved the girl in '61 flood. Hero status, earned deed. He noticed irregularities early. Fees rising, sales pressured. His accident, hunting alone, bullet from nowhere. Ruled stray. But Troy's confession, staged. Carol's backstory, real estate shark, embezzled from firm. Dean, indebted via favor, blackmailed her into puppet. Troy, spoiled, enabled but broken by guilt. Bob's full story, affair smears with faked evidence. Fire erased proof. Wife gone, kids estranged, other victims, 3 families bankrupted, sold cheap. My plan's execution, crew details, welders, electricians, silent pros, Gates spec'd for bear-proof strength. Resident texts. Gratitude messages poured. Carol's rampage. Tried climbing gate. Heels snapping. Crowd growth. Picnics formed. Anti-HOA chants. Deputy's integrity. Young. Uncorrupted. Faints and paramedics. Dramatic. But real panic attack. Post-arrest. Evidence boxes. Ledgers. Wires. My election. Unanimous. Reforms immediate. Threats detailed. Brick through window. Stop or like Grandpa. Miller's defection. Conscience after seeing livestream. Distorted voice. Analyzed later. Tech mogul investor in resort FBI raid scope. Multi-state corruption ring. Troy's hire. Controversial. But therapy-mandated community service vibe. He fixed what he broke. Bridge plaque ceremony. Emotional tears. Carol's videos. Raw, car-confined, viral millions. Donations rebuilt victims' lives. Texas case. Similar tyranny. I consulted pro bono. Theme expansion. HOAs as mini-fiefdoms. Power corrupts absolutely. Personal growth. From burnout coder to justice warrior. 2 years post-confrontation. Willow Creek thrived. Transparency audits. Minimal fees. Community events on the Morrison Memorial Bridge. I stepped down as president. Elected a council. Focused on advocacy. Troy's arc. From arsonist to reliable. Earned trust fixing rails he once sawed. Married a local, kid on way. Forgiveness. Hard won, but real. Carol's confessions. Book deal rejected. Stuck to videos. Donations exceeded theft. 1.2 M was to fund. Lived modestly. Volunteered at shelters. Redemption. Actions spoke louder than sobs. The network, FBI dismantled. There was resort developer Darius Klein, jailed for life. Connections to politicians unraveled. Grandpa's legacy, foundation in his name, fighting HOA abuse nationwide. My life, cabin renovated, remote work in ethical tech. He mentored youth on standing up. Final Carol encounter, toll booth stare down. She paid no, turned away. But later, anonymous donation labeled for the bridge. Texas emails sparked network, online forum, legal templates, success stories. Karma's toll, exact change, reflections on hiring Troy. Yes, second chances, break cycles. Without, he'd recidivate. Carol's donation, true? Selfless act amid selfishness. Partial redemption. Justice, not vengeance, restoration, forgiveness, bridge to healing. HOAs, necessary evil turned toxic by ego. Reform via ownership deeds, transparency, epilogue. Another email, Florida, banned flags. Typed response. Own your bridge, Grandpa's words eternal. Bridges connect, never underestimate standing up.